You know what's the scariest thing? It's not failure, not falling, not even pain. The scariest thing is waking up one day and realizing you're just existing, breathing, eating, sleeping, but not living. And I was right there. There was a moment in my life when I felt absolutely lost. Not just a little confused or tired. No, I was lost so deeply that I couldn't even remember where I was heading in the first place. There was real chaos in my head. You know that feeling when thoughts swarm from all sides like a swarm of bees? When you try to focus on at least one thing, but you can't. When even your own desires seem so distant and blur that you start doubting. Were they even real? My dreams, they were gradually turning into ghosts. Ephemeral, pale shadows of what once burned with bright flame. They moved further and further away from me, dissolving in the fog of daily routine. And with each day, I believed less and less that I could catch them. Every morning I opened my eyes and saw the same ceiling. Every day seemed like a cruel copy of the previous one, like a stuck record playing the same melody over and over, until you start going crazy from this repetition. I was just drifting with the current, like a log in a river. Wherever it takes me, that's where I go. Without a paddle, without direction, without choice. I hoped. No, I prayed that someday everything would change by itself. That some magical moment would come, an invisible switch would flip, and suddenly everything would fall into place. But you know what? That moment never came. Day after day, week after week, month after month. Discipline. That word for me was just a concept from endless self-help books. Books I bought with hope but never finished reading. They stood on the shelf collecting dust, like a silent reproach to my weakness. I always put it off for later. I'll start next Monday, I told myself. After the holidays, I'll definitely get myself together. I promised the mirror. When I have free time, then for sure. I lied to myself. But that later never came. Because later is a convenient illusion behind which we hide our fear of change. I looked at successful people around me and thought, they just got lucky. They have different circumstances, different opportunities, different genes. Maybe I found 1,000 excuses why they could and I couldn't. And these excuses protected me from the painful truth. It wasn't about circumstances. It was about me. But everything changed one ordinary morning. I remember the sky was covered with heavy, leaden clouds, the kind that hang so low you feel like you could touch them. Heavy rain lashed the streets with such fury, as if the sky decided to wash away all the dirt from the earth. Water flowed in turbulent streams down the asphalt. Wind tore leaves from trees. And the whole world looked gray, cold, and hostile. I stood at the window with a cup of cold coffee in my hand, looking at this chaos, thinking, perfect weather to stay in bed, the perfect excuse to go nowhere, do nothing, just fall back under the blanket and forget everything. And at that exact moment I saw her. Mei Lin, my neighbor. She was running, through this downpour, through these puddles. Her sneakers splashed through water, rain streamed down her face, hair stuck to her forehead, but she ran, with such an expression as if the weather didn't matter at all, as if the rain was just background. And then a thought struck me that literally made me shudder. What if all this time the problem wasn't circumstances, but my attitude toward them? You see, this wasn't the first time. Mei Lin ran this route every single day. I saw her in snow, in heat, and after a long work day, when exhaustion was written on every cell of her body. I saw how she came out even at 6 a.m. when the city was still asleep and the streets were empty and quiet. I stood at the window and thought, where does she get so much strength? Where does this patience come from? This persistence? Why does she fight every day with her own laziness, with cold, with rain, with fatigue? When most people in her place would have given up long ago and found a million excuses to stay home. At that moment, I became insanely curious. This wasn't just idle curiosity. It was almost a physical need to understand. What drives such people? What secret do they know that's unavailable to me? Why do some people never give up, even when it gets really hard, while others, like me, break from the slightest discomfort? I understood that I had to find out the answer, not just out of curiosity, but because deep down I desperately wanted to become like that. I wanted to find that inner engine, that force that lifts people from bed every morning, no matter what. The next day, I specifically set my alarm half an hour earlier. Honestly, every cell of my body resisted this decision, but I forced myself, got dressed, went outside. The morning was fresh, slightly cool. I breathed deeply, trying to calm my nervousness, as if I was going to some important interview. And in some sense, I was an interview with myself, with the possibility of change. I waited on Mei Lin's usual route, and when I saw her approaching figure, my heart beat faster. She was running at her usual pace, evenly, confidently, focused. Approaching her, I waved my hand a bit awkwardly. She slowed down and stopped, raising her eyebrows in surprise. Li Bei, are you starting to run too? She asked with a sincere smile. I hesitated, then honestly admitted, no, not exactly. I wanted to ask you something. What makes you go for a run every day, even in such terrible weather as yesterday? Where does this strength come from? Mei Lin wiped sweat from her forehead, thought for a second, and her gaze became softer. She looked somewhere into the distance, as if remembering something important. You know, Li Wei, she began quietly, I wasn't always like this. I also postponed a lot of things, made excuses, felt sorry for myself. But then something happened in my life that changed everything. She paused, and I saw in her eyes a reflection of some old pain. My father got sick, seriously sick, and I realized my family needed me. Strong, healthy, resilient. Not just physically, but mentally. I made a promise to myself. I want to be strong for those I love. I want them to be able to rely on me, no matter what happens. Her voice grew stronger, more confident. When you set a real goal, not some abstract dream, but something alive, important, that touches your heart, discipline stops being so unbearable. It just becomes a tool, a means to achieve what really matters. She looked me straight in the eyes, and there was some incredible strength in that gaze. The main thing is to remember what you're moving forward for. When you have your why, the how finds itself. Her words, they didn't just make an impression on me. They literally exploded something inside. Like someone turned on the light in a dark room where I'd been wandering for years, bumping into furniture. I stood there for a few more minutes after Mei Lin ran on, and my brain feverishly processed what I just heard. All this time I thought I lacked willpower, that I was weak-willed, that something was wrong with me. But actually, I was just missing meaning, a real reason. That very why. That day, I thought really deeply. What if motivation is the true cause of all change? Not discipline by itself, not willpower in a vacuum, but a powerful, living, burning reason. Maybe I need my own motive, my personal fire that will push me forward. Even when laziness whispers sweet excuses and fatigue pulls back into the comfort zone. I suddenly realized, truly realized, not with my mind, but with my whole body, my entire being. True discipline is not a battle against other people. It is not a competition of who is stronger, faster, or better. True discipline is daily victories over your own weakness, over your yesterday's self, over the version of yourself that wanted to stay in bed, find an excuse, and give up. That day, for the first time, I didn't defeat some external enemy. I defeated the most dangerous opponent, myself. My laziness, my fear, my doubts. We ran together, smiling at each other. And that was a moment of true inner freedom. A moment when I felt, I can, I do, I am changing. It was an incredible feeling, as if I had dropped a heavy backpack I had carried for years without even noticing its weight. Listen to me carefully, because this is the most important thing I want to tell you. If you want to truly change your future, start with discipline of the mind and set a goal that ignites a fire inside you. Not some abstract dream for motivational posters. Not, I want to be rich or I want to be happy. Those are empty words without substance. Find what makes your heart beat faster. What you are ready to wake up for on a cold morning. What you are ready to endure discomfort for. Overcome fatigue. Keep going when everyone else has given up. Don't wait for the right moment to come tomorrow. Listen, I have to tell you the truth. The right moment is a myth. It's a convenient story we tell ourselves to justify inaction. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a situation where all the stars align, all the circumstances are favorable, and change becomes easy. Life will always throw obstacles. There will always be excuses. There will always be reasons to postpone. The only moment you truly have is now. Right now. Step toward change today. Take the first step, no matter how small. Write down your goal. Get up half an hour earlier tomorrow. Make the one call you've been postponing. Read one chapter of a book. Run one lap. Write one sentence. One step. But today, you know what's the coolest thing? You are not alone. Thousands of people right now are watching this video, reading these words, thinking about change too, dreaming of a better version of themselves, fighting their fears and doubts too. We can walk this path together. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next motivating story. Here we share real stories of real people, without pretense, without exaggeration, without promises of easy success. We tell the truth. Change is hard, but it's possible, and it's worth it. Leave a comment. Tell your story. What inspires you? What stops you from starting? What goal are you ready to fight for? Let's support each other. Let's create a community of people who don't just dream, but do. Like this, if this story resonated in your heart, it will help the algorithm to show the video to people whose lives it can change. Share the video with someone who needs these words right now. Maybe your friend is on the edge of despair. Maybe your sister has lost motivation. Maybe your colleague is just drifting and doesn't know how to get out. One video can be the spark that ignites a fire of change. Your story begins right now. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, not at the new year. Now, there is only one question. Are you ready to start? I believe in you. Mei Lin believes in you. Now is the time to believe in yourself.